starting a series today called I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. What's with this title, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist? And I've had people say, you don't need faith to be an atheist, right? That atheism and spiritual skepticism and science, that's all about objective facts, while faith in Christianity, that's about preference things. It's like the difference between chocolate and vanilla. You like chocolate, I like vanilla. We can't prove the difference between them. You like Christianity, I like Buddhism. I mean, faith is about preference, and science and atheism is about facts. But here's the thing. No matter what your worldview, we all make truth claims. Because we all make truth claims, every truth claim that we make can be investigated objectively. Religion is all about truth claims, which means it's about facts, which means that we can start to look at whether there's evidence for those facts. Atheism makes truth claims. There's evidence or there's not evidence for those truth claims. We can look at the evidence, we can begin to figure it out. But what we need to see is that no matter what our worldview, no matter what our truth claim, all truth claims require faith. See if we can work this out together. The reason, and just really lean in here, I'm going to need you to use your noggin a little bit, but all truth claims require faith because when we're talking about truth claims, we're talking about the difference between probability and certainty. When I make a truth claim about something that happened in the past, or God exists or God doesn't exist, I cannot prove that with 100% certainty. I mean, I can't think of a truth claim that I could prove with 100% certainty other than the fact that I exist because I'm reasoning this out in my head right now, right? Everything else is kind of, it's highly probable, but it's not certain. But we can get to have so much evidence that we begin to say that is so probable, it's pretty much certain, but it's not 100% certain. Let me give you an example. Unless you're watching online this morning, you are here in church this morning, right? That's truth. You're here. Let's say you go to work on Monday, and you run into a coworker, and they say, "What'd you do this weekend?" "Well, it's Easter. I went to church." But they don't believe you because they don't see you as much as a church-going type. And so, although you made this truth claim with such certainty I was in church, they don't believe you. And they say, "I don't believe you're in church. Give me some evidence." And you say, "Wow, okay, thanks, but let me give you evidence. Here's a bulletin. I was actually at church. I still have the bulletin with me. Here's a bulletin. It's got the date on it. I mean, where else could I have gotten that?" And the person says, "All right, that's a nice try, but you could have gotten that anywhere from anybody. Your wife could have gone to church. Your husband could have gone to church. You got it from them." "All right, okay. Well, they started a new series called I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist." And then you give a point-by-point kind of synopsis of the message because you're like paying attention so well, right? And then you kind of go over all of the songs that we sang. And like, there you go. I was there, right? No, you could have gotten that anywhere from anybody. And you're like, wait a minute. Oh, hey, there's Bob. Bob, one of our coworkers, he was there too. I saw him. "Bob, come over here." And you bring Bob over. "Bob, were we not at Newday together this weekend?" And Bob's like, "Well, yeah, sure. We were there together." And the other guy's like, "You guys got together in cahoots. You worked this whole thing out. I don't believe that. You weren't in church." Finally, you remember, "Oh, yeah, I took a selfie with the pastor in the church. We took a selfie." And so you bring that out. It's time stamped, date stamped. There it is. The pastor, we're in the church. There I am. I mean, there's the proof. No, you could have photoshopped that. You're incredulous. Why? Because there's so much evidence. Can I prove it with 100% certainty? No. Someone can continue to have unreasonable doubts, but there's so much evidence in support of the fact that I went to church this weekend that it's highly probable. It doesn't take a lot of faith to believe the fact that I was in church, right? Because I have so much evidence. And this is one of the points we need to make. The more evidence I have for my truth claim, the less faith is required to believe that truth claim. The less evidence there is for a truth claim, the more faith it requires. You with me? So I could say, I can make a truth claim. There was a Holocaust perpetrated by the Nazis in Europe last century. That's my truth claim. Can I prove it with certainty? No. I could show you a lot of evidence. I could show you movies. I could bring up eyewitnesses who experienced it. I could share the writings of people who experienced it. I mean, there's a lot of evidence in support of the fact that there was a Holocaust. Still, there are people who deny it. Those are unreasonable doubts. Doesn't take a lot of faith to believe that truth claim, right? On the other hand, I could say, you know what? I think that the moon landing was faked. It was all just a big scam, right? That's my truth claim. The moon landing was a scam. Do I have a lot of evidence to support my claim? Very little, which means it takes a lot of faith to believe the fact that the moon landing was a scam. So, in the same way, as we talk about religious truths, even truths that atheists believe, we're dealing with probability, not certainty. Consider one other example, this one a real one. Carl Sagan made an incredible statement in support of atheistic materialism when he said this. He said, "The cosmos is all that is or ever was or ever will be." What he's saying is the universe is it. The universe is all that is, all that was, all that ever will be. That is a big truth claim made by a person who lives less than 100 years. How does he know? How certain is he? What evidence does he have that this is true? And does he have as much evidence as Christians have for their truth claim that God exists? Where does the evidence point? That's the question. Where does the evidence point? Because whoever has the least evidence requires the most faith. Think about it like this. Let me see if I can illustrate it. One more time. I'm saying the same thing again and again. Hopefully we're getting it, but we're going to need this as we go forward. But let's say I make this big truth claim. God exists. God doesn't exist. Jesus is the Son of God. He rose from the dead. Or like Muslims would say, no, Jesus was a prophet. He didn't even die on the cross, right? I make a truth claim, and then I look at the evidence for that truth claim. Maybe it's a little bit of evidence. Maybe it's a lot of evidence. The gap between where my evidence lets off and where that truth claim starts is where faith comes in. The more evidence I have, the less faith is required. The less evidence I have, the more faith is required to bridge that gap. And what we'll see is that I believe atheists have bigger gaps because they have far less evidence for their beliefs than Christians have for theirs. I believe it takes a lot of faith to be an atheist, to say that there is no God.